There's one small issue. I forgot to remove the coat on me. I think Darren is making me nervous. So today we have with us Mr. Darren Needham, a commercial director at this advertising agency. It's called The Arc. He's worked extensively for about 25 years with media channels.
The thing about out of home, it's unavoidable. It's high reach and frequency, and it captures everyone where you go.
It says there are some things that money can't buy.
Yeah.
For everything else, there's MasterCard.
Yes.
So tell me, best career advice you've ever got?
Be yourself. Be natural, and don't try to be someone you know.
A skill you think matters more than your degree?
Communication.
A habit that made the biggest difference in your work life?
Preparation. Star Wars or Star Trek.
So, welcome to Mind the Business Gap podcast. So, today we have with us Mr. Darren Needham, who's a commercial director at this advertising agency. It's called The Arc, and he's got a very interesting card which says "No ego, no fuss." Right? We'll dive into that as well. And he's worked extensively for about 25 years with media channels. And today we explore what he has to offer. Welcome, Darren.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Very well. That's it. Nice day, and it's a pleasure to be here. So thank you very much indeed.
Right. So, like we discussed, you worked for about 25 years. Could you take us through your journey once?
Yeah. I started my career in regional press, which a lot of people did do, working for the local newspaper group back in the 1990s. And back in those days, newspaper circulation and readership, the number of copies was very large.
Okay.
So every household would buy a copy.
Okay.
To give an example, Leeds, population 750,000, used to do just short of 200,000 copies.
Yeah.
You can see, obviously, now they roughly do less than 5,000 copies. So you can see the change in media consumption.
Right.
Well, that's how I started. Started in newspapers, had a fantastic career there for about 12 years. Left there as general manager, and then I decided I still had a career in media and wanted to work, and then I was choosing whether to go into out of home or radio, and I chose to go into the wonderful world of out of home and spend 20 odd years in out of home, radio and digital, which is fantastic.
Right. So tell me, what feel you mentioned that in the 90s it was more about newspaper.
Yes.
And what feels more different today in the industry? What is actually different?
I think when you went back into the 90s, there wasn't as much options where there's been a massive fragmentation in media.
Right.
But in those days, it was press, TV, radio. You could advertise on TV and reach 40 million people on Coronation Street.
Right.
But as technology and new media's come along, it's a lot harder to actually find that consumer and reach them because there's so many different channels.
Right.
So I think it's trying to find it, make it simplistic, and to find the people easily.
Right. Like you mentioned, out of home. So out of home and transport media are often seen as traditional channels.
Yeah.
You think they work today?
Yeah. I think today they're still as powerful as there was 10, 20 years ago.
Right.
The thing about out of home, it's unavoidable. It's high reach and frequency,
Right.
and it captures everyone where you go.
Right.
So I think the power of advertising is to get your message in front of the people and to influence them.
Right.
And to change people's perceptions, and that's still the same now as it was 20 odd years ago.
Right. So just for the viewers, how do you define out of home media basically?
Yeah, so out of home would class as, you would say, bus, train advertising. So when you're out in the cities and you see the advertising on the buses, it's unavoidable and it captures people. You have what we would call roadside advertising, which would be the static of the digital billboards, and everything which encompasses that, whether that's like the iconic formats, whether that's in London or in Leeds as where we are.
Right.
So it's the advertising formats which you capture people's attentions, and that's where you're obviously trying to influence people, whether that's consciously or subliminally.
Actually, you're right, because when I'm also heading to the gym in the morning and I'm listening to music and I have my earpods on, so I'm walking down and I'm just walking and listening to music. But then when I see a billboard, when I see a bus passing by, there was this recent movie, Frankenstein, I think.
Yes.
And it was being advertised there. I think it did capture my attention, and there's this new Daniel Craig movie which has come recently, I think Knives Out 3. It did capture my attention that December 12th it's on Netflix. So I think somewhere, yes, you're right. What about these digital media out of homes? What are they basically?
The change, what you've had is a massive change in media. So where you had, if you looked at roadside, you had majority of them were static billboards.
Right.
So it was always on message, one client, one message. But then as you've got more programmatic, now you're able to target people by weather, consumers, targeting with different influence in different time widths, so you can do different time bands. So now it's getting a lot more clever, and your targeting capabilities have increased so much. And again, you can change your creative depending on what we're forecasting, how the weather is. So now the digital advertising just opens so many more opportunities to target people and their capabilities.
Okay. So, many businesses, they say they want ROI from advertising. So basically, in reality, where do you see this money being wasted more often?
I think for me, there's different ways to check attribution and return on investment. But I think the biggest thing which I always say to people is the short-term thinking, because it's easy to do an advert and to run a campaign and expect clicks and click-throughs and response straight away.
Right.
The difficulty about short-term thinking is you've got to raise a brand and keep front of mind, not just for that short-term campaign, but for a sustainable period. So for me, it's all about you're advertising with your brand, but constantly keep in front of mind and driving activation. So I think for me, just thinking, doing a campaign, short-term, drive response, and then come off. You've worked hard to get that peak and to get your brand so high, and you come off. And then if you start again, so say several months later, you've got to start so hard again to get there. So for me, it's about long-term branding with activation to keep front of mind.
Okay. Right. So I think one question that comes to my mind right now is, which is, I'm asking an advertising person this because I really want to know, which has been your favorite ad throughout, since 90s, whatever you want to...
That's a very good question. I'll probably say the things which spring to mind as we are now is coming up close to Christmas. Just there is, you've got the John Lewis adverts.
Okay.
So I think if you looked on the TV adverts, great. John Lewis have done a fantastic campaign.
Right.
I would say, I think this year,
right.
probably a change of creative agencies. I don't think it's as good.
Right.
You've got the Coca-Cola adverts.
Yeah.
Everyone can think of when the truck's coming along, it's coming towards Christmas.
Right.
From an out-of-home campaign, I actually like, say, for example, Jack Daniels.
Okay.
Obviously, from the previous supply side, when I worked media, the supply side and the media owners,
right.
the London Underground was one of the biggest advertising contracts and still is in the world.
Right.
And Jack Daniels is one of the longest standing advertising on the London Underground.
Right.
And I like it because it's long copy, tells a story. So it's not about a short-term offer or drive. Why you should use the brand. What does that brand mean? When did it start? What's its heritage? And it's got long copy details, and they've always done it. And when we're talking about keeping front of mind and telling the story and being visible, they've used the London Underground for 20 odd years. Why? Because it works.
Right.
The brand recall,
right.
sales. So that's one of the adverts which I like because it's always there and it's always a different creative.
I think this is the thing about advertising, right? Storytelling, which
yes.
you mentioned. Storytelling is something which is so interesting, and that is why it captures the audience. Like, I'll tell you my favorite ad. One that ad comes to my mind. I think it's an old ad. It's a MasterCard ad. It says, they had this beautiful tagline. It says, there are some things that money can't buy.
Yeah.
For everything else, there's MasterCard.
MasterCard. Yeah.
So beautiful, So they show a family.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a person who's very successful in life. There's a son who's very successful in life, and he's treating his parents, and the joy on the parents' face, and then this tagline comes. I think it's a very interesting story that gets captured. So I think now I remember one of my favorite ads.
No, I think look, all form of advertising. Does it appeal to you? Right. So again, we could be walking, I could hear an advert, see an advert, interact with it, but is it talking to you? Is it talking to me? What's my interest?
Right.
Does it appeal to me? Right. So I think it's talking to the consumer and the people thinking, yeah, that appeals to me. And it, as you said, you remember it because it was memorable and it's about the creative. So it's actually, does it get people to take action? Does it get people's attention? Right. And that's what you're trying to do.
Right. So you mentioned Jack Daniels. There was one more ad of Johnny Walker also. The person keeps walking and is talking. And I think, I don't know how it happens in the UK. Back in India, we don't really advertise about alcohol as much. So if there's a Carlsberg ad, for example, so they're just showing water in glasses. I don't know if it happens here. Does it?
There is. I mean, the rules are changing in all the different products. So, for example, if you're looking at, say, for example, food, food with obviously high fat and saturated in salt. Now there's obviously changed the advertising where you can advertise or what time you can advertise on, which I totally understand. I've got 2 children myself. Do I want to promote, for example, unhealthy eating so my children want it? No, I don't. So I think it's choosing the right platform for the right audience at the right time. So one, you're looking after society, but also you're giving brands an opportunity to actually keep front of mind and giving people an option. Actually, would you like to buy us with everything what comes with it?
Right. So, now it's the time for AI. We know it everywhere. You think data and automation reduce the need for human judgment in media planning, or do you think it increases it?
I think it'll increase it. Because I think, look, data is fantastic. Numbers don't lie. And it's great to have the data, but it's understanding what to do with the data and how you take it forward. What's worked, what hasn't worked, how do we improve it, how do we change it, how do we decipher it? So I think it's great having it, but you still need humans to interpret it and then to take it forward and actually move with it.
Right. It was interesting. So, I met Darren recently, and, I went to his office, and I wanted to learn more about advertising, and he asked me to sit in 2 of his meetings, right? And very, very interesting meetings they were. And so one meeting we sat where where you were looking for a bid writer.
Correct.
What does a bid writer basically do?
So a bid writer would, a lot of the contracts which we do, we might go onto a portal, and it could be you're applying for a government advertising contract for several years. In order to do it, it can be quite lengthy, like time consuming, and a lot of it could be policies, and it could take hours, things like that. So the thing is, there's no guarantees you're going to win it. There's lots very competitive, and it's the terminology and the language, which is understanding what do the people who actually do bid writers understand. We're advertisers, we're marketeers, and sometimes it's understanding, are you putting in that communication exactly how you want? So sometimes we would use some bid writers who we've used before to actually take care of it, who understand us as an agency, understand what our cultures and our values are, but actually things, how do we actually bring that to life? So that, for example, tender, we actually match their criteria and we get our best points across with how they want to interpret it.
Right. Very, very interesting. But coming to that, I think we had discussed this in the meeting as well. And I think everybody would like to know, what qualities do you look for in a person when you want to work with them or you want to hire them or anything of that sort?
Having worked in employment, I think can be one of the hardest parts for both sides. It's making sure the job is right for the person and the person is right for you. From lots of experience, and I've always recruited on personalities and attitude, because I think the skills they can learn, you can train, you can teach, but I think if you recruit someone with a positive attitude, with the right personality and the willingness to learn, you get great people who'll come on the journey with you. So that's always been my mantra, and having run small, large, and sales and production departments, that's always a way of thing I would always look at.
What other 2 qualities would you look for? So this would be one. So right attitude, I agree with you, because like you said, technical skills can always be taught. And nowadays with Gen AI and with automation, people can learn everything. I'm also doing this podcast and I'm also learning on the job. So I want to understand what other 2-3 qualities, because what happens is for the UK market, so there are a lot of international students and people don't really know what people are looking for. Right attitude is fine. Other than that, what else?
I think communication. I think confidence without being overconfident. But I think curiosity. And what I say about that is working in advertising, media, and marketing. It's about relationship building. It's about being able to ascertain what a client is trying to achieve. So asking those curiosity questions and understanding what they want from the brief. Some companies are fantastic and know exactly what they want. Some don't. So having that relationship and being able to relate to your partner and ask the questions what you want, if they've got them skill sets and they're able to have communication and take the brief collectively, then that makes a massive difference. I think communication is key. And I don't just mean orally written. It's like they can ask the questions and they're listening. And we always got told you've got 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use it in that way.
So I think I had mentioned earlier, so your business card, when you flip it, It says no ego, no fuss. How do you, I think there's something else also mentioned.
We do it all well.
Right. So how did that come into your mind?
I think it's one of those when you have a brainstorm and you look at his individual, it's like, what do you want to be known as?
Right.
And having worked, obviously, the three owners originally of a business who started it up all worked together in the 90s.
Right.
And when business sat down and looked at what do we want to know as, we want to be known as doing a really, really good job.
Right.
But actually, no airs or graces. We don't think we're the best of the best. But what we do is do really well, work hard. We've got lots of experience, lots of knowledge and insight. Right. But we just literally, we'll pick the phone up, we'll speak to you, we'll do anything we can. So I think it's about actually having no airs and graces and no egos and fussy. Actually, we just want to do a really good job for you and work with people, and hopefully you enjoy working with us.
So humility is important to you.
Yeah, 100%. Right. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, so the ARC is an independent agency, right?
Yes.
And you've worked across for 25 years, I think, maybe MNCs as well, corporate as well. So what is the basic difference here, right? And do you have more autonomy when you're operating here?
Yeah.
So how does an independent agency work in comparison to
an independent gives you impartiality,
right,
independence.
Right.
If you think of a media owner will want to talk positively, and they're fantastic, but they will want you to talk about their products. Right. What can their product do? Whether it's the bus advertising, the trains. But when you're independent and you understand the consumer, what you're trying to change, whether that's to change behaviour, drive online, drive sales, drive in showroom, who is that audience? What's that demographics? What's the best way to reach them? And then you will decide as an independent agency who's not tied to any media owner. There's no rebate, so you're not getting remunerated better for using a TV company over and out of home. When you're independent, you do what's right for the client, whether that's out of home, digital, TV, radio, a multimedia mix. You'll do what's right for the client. So being independent, we've got a really knowledgeable full service agency, from whether that's digital, media planning and buying, whether that's production, TV, script, storyboards, clearcast approval. So I think from us, it's being able to do everything, right, but do what's right for the client.
So for students and early career professionals, and this can be across UK, across the world, what is that one advice that you would give, so that whoever is heading into, say, communications or media, what advice would you give them?
I would say, get under the bonnet, spend as much time as you can with the media owners. You obviously came and approached me, fantastic. You came and approached me, you wanted to come in, you wanted to see how it works, you wanted to ask for questions, you came on several calls. And what you see in a presentation isn't always reality.
Right.
What's the pressures from the media owners? What they're looking for? How do you relate to them? And I think wherever you can get time to come in and spend time with an agency, the TV companies, the digital companies, and understand what goes on behind the scene, it gives you a better understanding of the pressures everyone's under and how agile, how quickly they need to work, and what understanding. And I think if you show willingness to want to learn, I think it will set you apart.
Right. So are you the kind of person who's more favorable towards on-the-job experience rather than someone doing a CPD course or more, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I figured that.
Yeah. I'm, and again, everyone's got different preferences with learning, right? Again, we're talking, I'm a visual person, right? I like to I like to see it, I like to do it, right? Whereas some people prefer to, obviously, like I said to you, the book, the learning, there's different learning styles, and I think it's trying to ensure everyone has the best opportunity to obviously include all of them. Right. But for me, I think talking to people who's actually doing the job and understanding it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it gives people a better flavour about what does that career really look like? What does that industry look like? What can I improve on? And I think once you understand that, then you can go down the journey of actually improving yourself and actually your career opportunities.
Right. So apart from work, I think, are you into hiking?
Hiking might be a strong word, right? Strong word. I like walking, so we do like the UK 3 peaks. We do like the lakes 3 peaks. We do lots of walking.
So this is on mountains, right?
That's it. They are mountains. That's it. Yeah.
That's difficult. That's even that's better than hiking, won't you say?
I would. I'd say it's good. Lots of my friends do like the Ironman and the marathons.
Right.
I'm not quite into that as
Right,
much,
right.
but I do enjoy walking, and I think the bit of it is you're away, you're in fresh air, you're in the countryside. Half the time your mobile phone doesn't get any signal,
Right.
and I think it's you at peace
Right.
with some friends,
Right.
going out there, switching off, and just enjoying the outdoors, which is
think-
what I love.
I think your eyes just lit up when you started speaking about the walking bit on the peaks. So which peaks are we talking about exactly?
You've got like UK, so you've got like Scafell Pike, and obviously, for example, Snowdon, for example, Wales, and then you've obviously got Scotland. So they're like the UK free peaks which we've done, and then you've got like say numerous ones in the UK, like the Lake Districts have got fantastic, down Wales, Peak District. So there's probably hundreds and hundreds and some great books which I could recommend. But I think it's determining what your level of walking is, how distance. So, for example, if I go with my wife and her friends, my wife doesn't want to do more than a 10k,
Right.
so we'll try to do more later. If I'm with my friends,
Right.
then it might be steeper, longer, and a bit tougher.
Right.
So it just depends on who I'm with.
I think so. I'll move on to the rapid fire round.
Okay.
So we'll try to be as quick as
Yeah.
possible. Okay.
I'll try my best.
Right. So tell me, best career advice you've ever got?
Be yourself. Be yourself. Be natural, and don't try to be someone who you know.
Lovely. Skill you think matters more than your degree?
Communication.
Okay. Lovely. A habit that made the biggest difference in your work life?
Preparation. And I won't go into the saying, obviously, prepare to fail, fail to prepare, right? But I think preparation, I like to, if I'm doing a meeting or whatever I'm doing, it could be personal, I like to understand it, research it, and feel like I understand that topic of the area. So when I go in, I'm more comfortable and confident. So preparation is always key for me.
Lovely. Favorite movie? Do you watch movies?
I do, yeah.
Favorite movie?
Star Wars or Star Trek. I am a bit of a Trekkie.
Star Wars, which one?
Star Wars, probably the first one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Lovely. Do you read as well?
Not as much as my family, I won't lie. So no, I don't.
Who
I'm
reads
not
the
good.
most in your family?
To be fair, they're all big readers. Probably my wife and my son and daughter both read, and they'll probably read 2-3 books a week.
Right.
I'm probably the worst in our family.
Right. Okay.
I'm more into sports podcast or something like that.
You're into podcasts?
Yes.
Which podcast do you generally listen?
Been listening to, like, say, for example, I do like, and believe it or not, Gary Neville, Carragher, Peter Crouch.
Right.
So some of the usual ones, I actually quite like them and listen to them. So as much as people might critique or knock them, I actually think they played at a decent level,
Right.
and they come across really well.
So this is not a rapid fire, but a question. Suppose you go back 20 years from now or 25 years from now to your younger self. Would you like to give any advice specifically?
Yeah, I think what I would say is when I was younger, I probably chased the money.
Right.
And I did roles and moved around careers to try to chase the pound.
Right.
I think I spoke to my son who's starting in his career, he's 26, and I'm like, don't change the money. Do a role which you enjoy, and if you do really well at the job, the money will follow.
Right.
So I think choosing a career in a company who matches your aspirations and ambitions and do the best you can, then the salary and the benefits will follow.
Yeah, I think this is completely true because we're all business school students, a lot of us, and even I know a lot of my friends as well,
Yeah.
and a lot of my colleagues also. I feel everybody is chasing the money, so they want to go to these big firms, big consulting firms, and people they don't even have experience regarding consulting,
Yeah.
right? And because these big consulting firms they give a lot of money,
Yes.
and they don't have an interest in that. And even I, when I had joined recently the program, even I was aiming for a very big consulting firm, and then I realized, okay, I need to find my niche. I need to find what I like. I think that's a brilliant piece of advice. Anything else that you'd like to tell our viewers for the last time?
I think life's to live in, and I think you only get one shot at it. So I think do what's right for you. And if you're working somewhere or you're not enjoying the environment, get yourself into an environment which suits you and brings the best out of you. And I think, as I said to you, wherever you're flourishing in an environment which is positive, you'll do really well. And I think happiness is key. So I think there's a fine balance between home-like and work-life balance. And I would always say to people, is trying to get that balance right.
Right. I think that's amazing. Thank you for everything that you had to share with us today. And to our viewers, Thank you for tuning in. Keep listening to Mind the Business Gap, and please follow the Instagram page, Mind the Business Gap.